This video is kindly sponsored by PCBWay. Thank you, PCBWay. If you have followed the channel lately, you know that I'm working on this A3000 board and that I'm missing pretty much all the custom chips, like the Agnus. And instead of going and trying to grab one of these A3000 Agnus, which is the, I always forget the number. So instead of running around and grabbing the 8372B variant, which is needed for the 3000, I have these pretty nice 8375, which are from an A500 Plus, these two here. And coincidentally, there is an adapter for using these on the A3000, and that is an open source project which is available through today's sponsor of the video, which is PCBWay. And they kindly sent over this package. Let's take a peek inside and see how this adapter might work. So here's the package from PCBWay. Let's take a look inside. It's well packed. And okay, seems to be some care package from PCBWay. I got one of these rulers. Pretty interesting. Not quite sure what they are for. I think they are to measure some sizes, but who knows. We have very sleek PCBWay pen. Does it do anything? Okay, it's a rotary one. I think it has some tricks up its sleeve, but I don't know how and where. And we have, what is this? This is, ooh, fancy. It's a PCBWay stand. Just put it somewhere. Yeah, it's just a PCBWay stand, and I think this is printed in their, they do 3D printing also, and they can do clear printing, and I assume this is clear 3D printed by PCBWay, and if it is, it looks awesome. I think it's 3D printed. Yeah, it looks like it. Can very, very faintly see these lines, but that is no comparison to what my 3D printing looks like, which has real streaks all over the place. Yeah, I will use PCBWay's printing service in the future and in a future video to show what it can do. That's nice. Let's put that back and let's take a look at what we are here for, which is this right here. So these are very tiny PCBs, you can see. How does that work? I guess I know. Let me check. So, by the way, there's almost no documentation on this. So here's one of these sockets, and you have an arrow here, and you have an arrow here, and this goes in like this, I guess. And then you can see, well, the gist of it is you have 2 pin rows on the socket here, 1, 2, and you have 4 pin rows on this adapter. So 2 rows are for this adapter and 2 rows are for some pin headers that you solder to this PCB and then put it into the socket. And you also need to add 1 transistor and 2 caps to do this. It says here VBB only. This is a specific A600 version, I think, which needs a second cap, so we only do one cap. And I have the parts, which are teeny tiny. So these are the caps the transistors used. In here they are, teeny tiny. I'm looking forward to solder these. Yeah, so let's get cracking. Let's build one of these adapters and see if it actually works. Okay, I just figured out how this works. You have to put the socket in exactly the top right corner. Then you can see those 4 circles line up, and the border around this is the same on all sides. And what happens then is that if you turn this around, you can see only every second pin row is used by this Agnus socket, and you have to solder to the others, and I will show you in a minute how this works. And you have to solder the pin headers for the PCB first and then put on the socket. But we will start by using this blank one here and solder the transistor and one of the caps. Parts are down here, might not see them, but they are there. There it is, now you can see it. Okay, so let me put that on first, and then we go and take care of the pin headers. It will be interesting because they have to line up pretty much perfectly to fit into the board, so I might go and put them in the board, put them in here, solder them in, remove them from the board, put on the socket, and yeah, we will see in a minute. So I have this flux pen here. We'll put flux on the pads so that the components will sit on there nicely. And this transistor has its legs. See that? There's a flat part where the legs are down, and you can maybe not see right now. Let me magnify that. That's actually printing on there, and the printing has to go on top. And that's pretty much all you need to know. Line it up correctly. It's just on the pads as it should be. And then let's solder this in, and I will press down gently on this, trying not to disturb it. The only problem you could have is bridging, so if you don't want to have bridging, just go over it. Some flux again. That should do the trick. I think there's no bridging. Good. Not sure if the pins are soldered, so let's check for that. I need to use my glasses, my magnifying glasses for that. Could be working. So let's check with the multimeter for bridging. Looks good. Looks also good. Nice. Good. So transistors in. Now for the cap, which is the same. Looks good. Let's check. Yeah, that's on. Okay. And that is the small components done. Nice. Now for the fun part. So it was recommended to use these here, these double row pin headers, and to use these here. Not sure what these are for. I assume these are to give a little room between the socket and the PCB so that you can solder here. But if I use these, there is not much room to solder anyway. So I'm not sure. What we have to do, I think, because as I said, not much of documentation there on how to do this. Take this and you just try to measure how much you need, which should be about this. And then you just clip it off, and then you have to remove the two outer pins here. So just go and try to pull them out like this. This should now fit in here, and it does. Then we go and put on this right here. We just have to make sure that we are in the right position. So if we take a look at the one with the pins in, you can see that the outer row is free. So we have to put this on the outer row here, and then it should work. It doesn't work because there's a socket in the way. If I put it like this, it doesn't work because the pins are too thick. Interesting. Maybe I have to use this on top of this to make this work. I don't know. So this looks correct. I think I'm good with this. But it could be that it needs a bit more height. And that would mean to remove one of these pins here and one of these pins here, and to cut this down to size. Let's see. So if I put this in here, on here like this, this is I think the way to go. So you put the long pins on top like this. You cut here. And then this goes on top. That should be it. So let me quickly pull two of these pins to test my theory. That was easy. And the second one is this one, like this. And then you put that on here. Yeah, that should work. And then the socket goes on top. I think that is how it's supposed to be. So we are building this little tower here with these headers. Now I just have to cut this off here to make it work. Maybe I just use this one here. Yeah, works, and almost killed me. No idea where that went. But we have the first part of our socket construction. Nice. So these things are really snug in here, so there's no problem of contact, I think, for now. So let's do a second one, and then we need to do these here. It's a bit, in German we say Bastelei, which means tinkering or whatever you want to call that. So let me finish this off camera and I'll show you the result. Okay, so I have the two sides ready, and these are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 pins and 11. And I have these middle rows, and I have to, let's count these, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 pins, and it's a bit hard to cut these to size because they really have to fit pretty snug. So I just broke that one here. So best to have some spares. So let's try this again. Put this in and then try to pretty much make a straight cut. And I'm sure there's a better way than just snipping them off, but I don't have one right now. So I will just go. Yeah, that worked. Okay. Let's see if this fits in here. Yeah, not quite. So I have to sand down this right here. I have this file here. So I did file this on the side here, and now it should fit. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, works. Nice. Because this really has to be perfectly straight, otherwise you won't get the socket on, which is hard to do already. Yeah, I got it. So this is how this is supposed to look. Except we're still missing the top row, but that's not bad. That looks good. Yeah, I think that's how this is supposed to work. And then you put the Agnus socket on top. Almost tempted to solder this in already and then do the fourth row. Yeah, teeny tiny problem. Did solder this all in and desoldered this already, because if I try to put the socket on, there are 2 rows, and to turn this around, you can see that you can only see 1 row. The other one is below these connectors. If you solder the socket first, there's no way of soldering anything beneath that, because this socket is solid. I then went and checked the pictures of this adapter, because there's, as I said, no instructions on how to solder this, just the parts list. And I noticed that he's using a different socket, but I only noticed when I clicked on the Mauser link to see the socket which he used, because in the picture there's already the Agnus in, and you can't see that it's a different socket. So the socket he uses is not the one with the 4 holes here, but with holes on the sides, so that you can put it in and you can solder underneath. Problem is, if I click on the picture in the Mauser description, I get the spec sheet, and the spec sheet shows exactly the same socket. So I have no idea where to get these sockets. And if I search on other sites, these sockets are not available or don't even exist. If I search for them, they only show these pictures here. So I'm not sure if these sockets are really available anymore. So I have to come up with another solution. And right now, my only idea would be to go and do the following, which is, that goes here. I will go and put in cables instead of these pin headers, because these pin headers are closed, so I can't solder between them, and it will be a very, very fiddly task. I will try to use cable instead of these, then put this in, hopefully be able to solder between the cables, which should work. If I see this here right now, I can, that's doable. Yeah, and then I think I will go and use a second one of these and put that into the 3000 and have that dangling around with the cables somehow, and connect the cables here. I have no idea really. I'm making this up as I speak. Yeah, let me see if I can come up with something. But this is, yeah, shit. I was so frustrated. I already soldered a few more of these here so that I have at least something accomplished. Let me regroup and think for a moment. So how do you solder 2 sides at the same time? You don't. That led me to order new sockets, and these are SMD sockets, same size. And the best thing is that there's actually these little spaces here where you can solder, but I thought I could bend the pins out and do it like that, but nope, doesn't work. Yeah, so I am left with my adapter and I can't solder it. And that led me to another idea, which is to combine 2 of these adapters. So I will solder this regular socket onto one of them. Let me check. Orientation is like this. And then, or beforehand, I will go and solder cables. And when I solder cables, I still have room here. to solder between the cables, because there's no such thing like these plastic thingies here. And then I will use these cables and connect the dots exactly to one of these other connectors, to which I solder adapters, to which I solder these connectors. Then I have a connector that is, has cables. I'm not sure if that works, if the signal quality and strength is good enough to transmit between those things here. So the main thing would be to have very short cable, and I can almost do it like this, or I could stack it on top of each other, because I just need room to solder. Yeah, I think I have the same problem again. Oh man. Okay, so this adapter is a no-no, which is unfortunate. So there's some kind of design flaw, or I'm just too stupid to see how to do this. So if you have any ideas on how to solder this, please let me know in the comments and I will do another video. But for now, I think I'm out of luck on this one. I think I found a way. If I just solder on the socket first, and then I use these pin headers, I can possibly solder below. And I have even longer ones of these. So if I use the longer ones, I have even more room to solder. So I can reach this line very easily. And this is a bit more complex here, but it's not impossible, because it's the second row. I think this is doable. So I'm a bit into this solder job. I have that done, which is the outer row. Then I have the second row, which is the socket. I have only put on a blob of solder there. Then I have to solder that, and I have to solder this second pin row. Put this in here like this from this side. So I soldered that pin row from this side. And then I have to solder the fourth row, which is the second row of the socket, and then that should be done. I have to do this all around. Fun. Yeah, it works. You have to have very, very, very steady hands. I'm still using the flat tip, not the pointy tip. Not sure if this is the right choice, but up till now it works, because I can precisely put the solder on the pins here. And I think this could actually work. And then I'm good to go on my adapter here, which would be awesome. So I finally finished this adapter. And I have no bridges, and it was bone hard to solder. As you can see, there are 4 rows of pins to solder. And that is exactly what I did. I first soldered the socket on top, and then I went row by row. These are not double row pin headers, but single row. And I put them in, soldered them, soldered the next, and so on. But again, thanks to PCBWay for sending over the PCBs for that. And if you want to see if this actually works, well, then you have to watch the next episode in which I will put this into one of my A3000s, or on the A3000 board, and see what it actually does and if it does work. So this is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will put the links to all these things, especially to these pin headers, which are the longer ones, and I think they are the only ones you can actually solder, because you have to go between the other thingies here to put solder, and you have to put the iron here and the solder there, and it's not easy. Stick around and see if this Fat Agnus adapter for the A3000 actually works in an A3000 with an A500 plus Fat Agnus 72, what is it again? 8375, of course. That goes in here nicely, hopefully. Where's pin 1? Pin 1 is here, and pin 1 is here, so it actually goes in like this, but I won't put it in until I have soldered this socket into the board. Yeah. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time, bye bye. Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. If you need any PCBs, pre-assembled PCBs or 3D printing, please use the link in the description below.
Thank you for watching Retro is the New Black. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. If you like the video, please share. Every like, share, and comment helps a lot. Until next time, bye-bye.